Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. It's nice having you here again. For new subscribers that are just coming here, it's nice to have you. Where have you been? You've been missing all along. Please do well to subscribe. And for those returning back, it's always nice to come back to watch my videos. Kudos to you guys. This video is a different one because what I usually do is usually just lifestyle, just being new here in Canada and all that. But due to popular demand, I always have questions from friends, from families, from subscribers coming to my DM and my Instagram asking questions about how to migrate to Canada. Can you tell me the step by step? Like even this morning I was just chatting with my cousin who just got to know for the first time that I've left Nigeria, and he was there, man, he used to call me Mamana, please send me the step-by-step guide. I'm like, what step by step? Is there anything like step by step? Only you know that this is like a research, it's something you have to do a lot of research on. Even if someone tells you, you have to do a lot of research. So please, no matter what you watch, make sure you do your research a lot, because there are a lot of misinformations out there, a lot of people taking advantage of you because they know you don't know anything, giving information. A lot of agents out there, a lot of agencies, a lot of immigration agencies. They are very genuine ones, of course, but it is advisable to make your own research. If they tell you A, go make your research and make sure that this is correct. Ask questions, especially from people that have already migrated. Ask a lot of questions until you get confirmation before you proceed. Like recently, I got someone that wanted to pay for his West and somehow ended up with a Nigerian bank account to make payments. I'm like, hope you've not paid. He said no. He was also surprised at what concern West evaluation with Nigeria. He got a Nigerian bank account to make payments. I'm not joking. I can screenshot the conversation I had with the guy on WhatsApp. I'm like, don't pay. This is a foreign body. You're not paying any Nigerian anybody. So please make your research well. I'm excited to talk about the express entry because it's a question that goes round. Like everybody's always asking questions about the express entry and all that. So please sit tight, take your coffee, take your cold drinks, no matter where you are, watch, take notes, and do a lot of research. Even after watching these videos, I'm not going to be giving every information out, just to guide you and for you to make further research on them. So to begin with, I'm just going to talk about the express entry briefly. So the express entry is the main pathway that people use to migrate to Canada. So the express entry has other sub categories under them, other pathways where people used to migrate, but most of them you still have to have an express entry profile. So the express entry has been around for a very long time, though during the pandemic it was suspended for the period of the pandemic. There were no draws, but it has been on ground, and it has been a pathway where people are being invited from the express entry pool to Canada. So we have other pathways that you don't require to be on the express entry, but majority of them you need to be on the express entry. So it is a point-based system where people are being picked based on their points on the pool, and those with high points are those that are selected based on that period's score. You know, it's just like, let me use like JAM score. JAM, for example, you write your JAM over 400, and the university you want to apply for, which is the Canada, they'll tell you, okay, we're not going to admit anybody below 250. Maybe this week, if you have 250 and above, we're going to pick you. So if you have 250 in your JAM score, we'll pick you. So you just get invitation to apply later. But if you are below that, even with 1 point, you're not going to be selected. So that's how it is. And those points varies from time to time. So you want to be in a situation whereby the last, maybe you had of the last draw was maybe 450. You want to be above that point because you know that is the point. So as I was saying, the express entry is a point-based system. So majority of people that have migrated to Canada definitely had a profile on the express entry. So it is a major pathway where a lot of people used to migrate to Canada. So before you even create your profile on the express entry, There are criteria, there are a lot of things you should do first before starting it. And before I go into the step by step, it is very important for you to have come across the comprehensive ranking system, which is called the CRS. There is no how you want to migrate to Canada under the federal skilled worker part and you've not come across the CRS. If you have not come across the CRS, then I don't know what you're doing. So the CRS is a kind of a simulation of the points you are going to have, like based on your point, based on yourself, like what points am I going to be entering the express entry with. So it takes into recognition your examination. You are required to write an English exam, either English or French, which is the IELTS, or using maybe writing CELTIP or TEF, which is for French. Your education, what is your highest education, what is your marital status, most importantly your age. So people that are below the age of 30 have more points in the CRS, because Canada wants to invite young people that will come into the economy to work for a long time. They don't encourage, it's not, the system does not encourage people that are old to come into the system, because you're basically coming to retire. You're not going to come and work for long. So if you are younger than 50, you have more points in the express entry and on the CRS simulation score. So the age, your education, your work experience, most especially because they want professionals to come into their country. They don't want people that have never worked and all that. They want you to have major work experience so that when you come, you can improve their own economy. So also you get criteria like if you have siblings in Canada, if you've schooled in Canada, if you have work experience in Canada and all that. So all those things add points. So for the exam, of course, at this point, you've not written your IELTS exam, you've not written your English exam, but you're going to put scores, like an assumption to say, okay, I'm going to max out my examination. I'm going to put the point, because each one they'll ask you in your reading, your listening, your writing and all that, what score did you have in all that. So you input all those points in the CRS calculator. I'm going to link the CRS calculator link in the description for you to apply it to yourself. You open the link, you start with your age, you'll ask you for your age, your marital status, you keep inputting all those information, and at the end of it, I think the questions are about 20 something or so. At the end of the link, you're going to see what your score is going to be. So it guides you to like know, this is the area I'm going to work on to get more score. This is something I should do. It may even get to let you know you are not even eligible, you don't even stand a chance, because some people don't want to improve their education, they don't want to go back to school. Some people, there's some couples that maybe the wife is one interested in this relocation stuff, the husband is not interested, so he will not even be interested in evaluating his results. You won't even be interested in writing the examination. And old age, you tell your husband of 45 years or 50 years to go and write English exam. Most of them are not interested. So it makes you to know that, okay, if only me write this exam, this is the point I'm going to have. My husband write also, this is the point we're going to have. So it guides you, it makes you to prepare that, guy, my husband, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're supposed to do, this is what we are not supposed to do. So you're supposed to get conversant with the CRS score, with the CRS calculator, because for me also, I got introduced to the CRS score at a very early stage, and we got to know that with the age, the work experience, of course I had over 10 years work experience. With my masters, I had masters and all that, I got to see that I didn't have a chance. Based on the current score they're using to pull people on the express entry, we knew we didn't have a chance. So we got to see that, okay, this is what we're going to do, this is what we're not supposed to do, and we worked on it, and here we are in Canada. So get conversant with the CRS score and all that. So this is going to take us now to the first and most important step in the express entry. The first thing you're advised to do is to go evaluate your credential. That is the educational credential assessment. So you're supposed to evaluate your highest qualification. So if your highest qualification is a BSc first degree, if it is a master's, if it is a PhD, if you have some professional qualifications, you are supposed to evaluate it based on Canadian standards. So you submit your documents to West. The most popular one is West, but for some professionals, some people use ICANN, some people use MCC. As I said, you make your research, but majority of people use the West. You apply in your school for them to send your transcript to the World Education World Education Credential. I'm going to put it down on the screen for them to send. So you're not the first person. When you go to your school, you apply. Of course, they're going to charge you. You tell them you want your school to send your documents to West. You're not required to send it yourself. It's supposed to go from the school directly. It's quite expensive depending on the school, and it requires a lot of follow-up. That is why it is the first step. If you're successful and you get your credentials assessed, it takes 5 years to expire. So you could use that assessment for 5 years. And most people, it takes up to 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year before their school is able to send their credentials to West. Even if they've paid, it requires a lot of follow-up, a lot of tipping, a lot of, take this one for recharge card, or God, help me do this, help me do that. Because once they send your credentials to West, West is also going to send it back for them to confirm that, okay, that once I send it, they have to reply. So you need to follow up. So you, on your own part as a candidate, you are going to download the West application, so that you can track whatever is happening. You track when your school sends it, when West receives the document, when they send back to the school for confirmation. You will see it on your application. You go back to your school and tell them, please, West has replied, you guys, please, can you help me respond? So all those stages you have to follow up with your school. That is why it takes time. Some people spend a lot of money, a lot of time for it. So you first get your assessment ready before you move to the next step, which is writing your examination. So for people that wrote IELTS one time and they just passed and they just entered the pool and they selected them, kudos to you guys. You guys are the gurus. People like us, we wrote it more than once. So I wrote the examination twice. Some people wrote 5 times, 6 times, 7 times, just to be able to get enough points, because each score you get on the 4 modules determines what your final score is going to be in the express entry. So you get people that they write it this month, they're able to get a certain point. They know that, okay, if in this particular module I get this, my score is going to be higher. They register again, they write it. So people write it several times to be able to max out, to be able to get the highest. And I learned in the whole modules, because there's reading, listening, writing, and speaking. The one that gives more points is on the listening. If you're able to max out well in the listening, you tend to have more points on the express entry. So some people write the CELTIP examination, but majority of people, like from Nigeria, get to write the IELTS examination. So as I said, I wrote it twice, but it doesn't mean that you can't write it once. Before you register or you write, you need to do a lot of research. Don't say because you wrote WAEC or NECO, you got A1. There's nothing in the English examination that you're going. We speak English. English is our first language, is our lingua franca, but you are required to write it. And it's different. It's different. The format is different. You need to study what the IELTS is all about, how their questions are. You need to study on each module. There are a lot of resources online on YouTube, or a lot of classes you could take. Some people do physical classes, some people do online classes. In my own part, I was able to do, the first time I got a tutor who messed me up, who made me to write it for the second time. I made a video about how I failed my first one, because I just relied totally on my tutor. I was busy at work. Whatever the tutor taught me, I just felt that was it. And I got to exam hall and I got to see that he didn't really teach me well. And so at that point, I even asked him that, "Oga tutor, have you written this examination before?" And he said no, he had never written it. He came highly recommended. I paid good money for this guy to teach me, but he messed me up. So the second time, I researched on my own. I used a lot of YouTube. I did a lot of classes and all that, and I was able to pass the second time. So it is very important for you to make your research before you register and before you sit for the examination. It doesn't come cheap. Yeah, it may be cheap to some people, but for people like me that I had to travel like twice from where I was in Sokoto State when I had to travel to Abuja to write the examination. Abuja was the closest to me. So I had to fly to and fro, you know, spend a lot of money, take a lot of excuse from job. If you're lucky to be in the states like Lagos, Abuja, Port Harcourt, Kano State that has the centers, you can decide to write as much as possible, but it doesn't really make sense. You make your research and try to max it out once, and if you didn't make it first, second time, it's not a big deal. You write it, you still max out for you to achieve your aim. The Canadian dream is real. It's not a big deal. You write it and you know your goal. Your goal is to relocate, so you're going to do it and pass. So the second step is the IELTS. So the third step is now entering into the express entry pool. You cannot create a profile on the express entry pool if you didn't do your assessment, which is the first point, and if you did not write the English or French examination. It's important. Those are the main things you need to enter into the pool. And if you didn't pass your examination, your IELTS examination, well, if in any module you got less than 6 points in one of the modules, either reading, writing, speaking, or the fourth one, you won't be eligible to enter into the pool. So you have to at least get above 6 points. So if you write the examination the first time, you didn't really pass, but you got above 6, you can enter the pool, just be in the pool, and then prepare for writing the next one. There are a lot of people that entered the pool with very low score. They felt that, okay, I'm going to go and rewrite it, and they were lucky to get nominated by a province. They were just lucky. Maybe the province just felt, okay, we need a lot of architects in our province, we need a lot of financial officers, and they go to the pool, not minding what your score is. You're going to get an ITA. So it is important, no matter how low your ITA is, or if you are working on improving or getting a master's to improve your score on the express entry, if you're eligible, just first enter the pool and sit on the pool. You hear a lot of people say, just go and sit down in the pool. Just know that you have a profile in the pool. You never can say what will happen. I have a friend, a former colleague that was in the pool. She had like 436 or something. So she registered for, is it ACA examination or so, and she was writing the last paper when Nova Scotia nominated her because she was a financial officer. She just sat in the pool, was writing her exam. She was hoping when she gets her results, she updates her express entry so that her points will increase. And luckily for her, she got invitation from Nova Scotia. And she was surprised, like, I don't have enough points, but because at that moment the province needed financial officers, and she was working the same place I was working in, a financial institution, and she got selected and left, you know. So just sit in the pool, even though you're trying to work on improving your CRS score or your express entry score, you know, just sit in the pool. So you create your express entry profile, create everything, put your spouse name, everybody, just do the necessary things and sit there. And if you feel your score is low, because currently I think the last score was around 490 something, as at the time I'm making this video, I think 480 something. And if you sit in the pool, you are maybe on 450, 460 something, all hope is not lost. We have provinces that go to the pool to pick people based on what they need at that point. So just be confident and be there while working on improving your score. And if you feel there's nothing you can do to improve your score, you never can say. The score can come low to your level, but get to know that this is something that is worldwide. It's not only Nigerians that are in the pool. We have people from all part of the world on the express entry, so they use an average to determine what the CRS score is going to be. So if you have a high score there, you are more at advantage as somebody that has low point. There are people that have been sitting on the express entry pool for 2-3 years and nothing has happened also. So it's something you should really make research on. So the fourth one is you now get your ITA, which is invitation to apply. All this time you've not applied yet, though. You've not even applied to the Canadian government that want to relocate, though. You've not even started. So after sitting in the pool, you're lucky, based on your score you're selected, or based on your profession, a province comes to select you. You're lucky, you now get your invitation to apply. That is when you know that yes, you've entered Canada with one leg. Not when you're in the pool, oh. You've entered Canada with one leg. So when you get your ITA, you're given 60 days to submit your application that you want to relocate to Canada. So at this point, that is when it is required for you to go with your family to go do medicals. During my time, before I relocated, they stopped people from doing medicals if you've not gotten your ITA. You have to get your ITA first before you go for medical. But during my time, I did my medicals based on faith. Like I did it in December 2021, because that was when I was free I had leave and all that. We just bonded ourselves to go do medicals in Abuja, and I got my ITA in March. So the medical lasts for a year, and I didn't get my ITA until March. So it was really a long wait. So at that point, when you now get your ITA, that is when you're supposed to go do your medical with your family. So for the medicals, in Nigeria, you have two centers, the IOM and then the Q Life. So you can't go to any hospital to go do medicals for migration. Those are the two designated hospitals. So you go there with your family, do the medicals and all that. It's better you make your research also, because you have to register, you have to book appointments and all that. So after doing the medicals, you also do your family's police report. Police report is just for you and your spouse. You do police report. That is to show that you don't have any criminal record in your country. Even if you have a criminal record, they want to know what it is you did, so you pay for that too. And as at the time we did ours, I think for me and my husband, we paid 20,000 naira. But before leaving, I got to know that each person gets to pay like almost 40k, and it's not we got our own within a day or so. But these days it can be so like expensive, and the process is really long, because they got to know that a lot of people are leaving. So it's a way to get revenue for the government, so it's really expensive. So you do your medicals, you do your police reports. Then for those you're also required to get a reference letter from your organization, because when you fill out your express entry profile, you tell the Canadian government, I work in a bank, I have 3 years experience, this is my gross salary, this is my everything. They need an official letter from your organization. So if you are doing your jackpot runs and you are doing it codedly, you don't want your organization to know. This is the point your organization is going to know. Of course, you're going to apply to your HR. It's going to be coded, quiet, but forget it. HR, you just start hearing your news everywhere that Sadatu came to apply for reference letter. What do you need reference letter for? It's for migration. So if you are doing it coded, just know that there's nothing coded about it. At least you got your IT, you are one leg into Canada, so no big deal. You go apply for it. They have a format. Each organization have their formats for the reference letter. It will show your entry date in the organization, your name. It will show your position. It will show your salary, your gross salary, your net salary, because you stated all that in your express entry. So that is a guide. Don't go and lie. Don't go and say this is what you are when you are not. They say if you have intention to go and forge something, which is highly not recommended, because the IRCC did their research. So you get your reference letter too. Then again, before now, you're supposed to even get ready your proof of fund. So your proof of funds shows that when I come into Canada, before I get a job, even when I get a job, I have enough money to settle with my family. We won't be a burden to anybody. We won't be like destitute on the road or under the bridge because we don't have money. So based on your family size, there's a recommended amount of money in Canadian dollar that you should have aside in your account for at least 6 months untouched. You can add to it, but it shouldn't go less than that. So I'm going to put, I think recently I got to see that it has been updated like 2 days ago. The proof of fund for each family size has been updated. So for a family of 5, I think we had to pay like we had to have like about 27,000 Canadian dollar in our accounts. So you have to have that ready. So if you have a family of 1, husband, wife and a child, that's family of 3. Husband, wife with 3 children, family of 5. So if you are planning this jackpot thing, it's a good advice to halt on adding more children, because no matter how tiny that child, even that child is 1 year, it changes what your proof of fund is going to be. So you just wait. When you land Canada, you can now start hatching the remaining children, so that they will even be Canadian citizens even before you that came in to. So based on your family size, there's a recommended amount. So there are different types of ways people get the proof of funds. Some people have their physical money in their bank account, where they're supposed to print out their statement to show that this money has been in their account for long. Some people get gifts from their family, like maybe your father will just send a letter, and they kind of to show that I gift you like 10 million naira as a gift for your relocation. It's something you could use as a proof of fund. You could use maybe if you have fixed deposit, you don't want to keep the money in your account yielding no interest, you keep it in a fixed deposit. Your bank is going to give you a fixed deposit certificate to show that, okay, this person has a so and so amount. If you've been, of course, you've been working, you can use a pension fund balance. People that are saving in their retirement savings account, you could use that. 25% of that amount could add up to your proof of fund, because after 4 months of relocation, you can always go and retrieve your money from your pension fund administrator in Nigeria. So you could do it online. When you're in Canada here, a lot of people, once they clock 4 months, they send email to the pension fund administrator. They don't take their money back. So the Canadian government knows that this is money that is a kind of semi-liquid. In 4 months time, they could use it to settle down. So you could use 25% of the amount in your pension as your proof of fund. There are other ways, treasury bills and all the certificates, you could prove it to the Canadian government that you can use. Even at this stage, you could use a landed property, your landed property certificate of occupancy, the equivalent of that land, the amount, you could use as a proof of fund at this point, because exactly we did such a thing too. At this point of ITA, we use a landed property with the amount, and pension fund, we use it as our balance to show this is the proof of fund that we have. So you gather all those documents. Those are the things you need. When you get to ITA, those are what you need to submit your application. ITA means invitation to apply. So for you to apply, all these things are listed down are what you need to submit to the Canadian government, that, okay, I'm applying to migrate to your country. And then you go and wait. And wait. And wait. I forgot to mention that if you are doing this Canadian jackpotting, just change your name from Saadatu to Patience. My name has changed to Patience because you eat, sleep, patience. In fact, these days is even very easy, very fast. People do. I did my own process within 1 year and everything clicked. So a lot of people that have been waiting for 3, 4, 5 years. 5 years. Am I exaggerating? Yeah. So when you hear people you are just and say, how long did it take you to migrate? You say 1 year. Be like, 1 year? My own took 3 years. I have a family friend here that her own took like 3 years plus before it clicked. So all the same, even if it's 1 year, 6 months, it's still a long waiting period, because after submitting your ITA, you go and start waiting for God to answer your prayer. That is when you'll be following up, always checking their sites. Is there any information? Is there any news? Is there anything? Is there any request? Because some people at this point, they get emails that we didn't get this, submit this, or you get some emails to show we need you to explain so and so things. We didn't get this information, you didn't submit this, you didn't submit that. And some people that applied with medicals that have almost expired, the IRCC will send them emails to go and redo another medical. And most people, when they get this kind of emails, they are really excited that they're working on my file, so we should go and do another medical, because medicals last for a year. So if you submitted your application and it lasts up to a year, you are required to do another medical because it had expired. But with the way things are fast now, I don't think people experience that. But people that are submitted after 2 years, a year, when they're working on their file, they're requested to go and do another medical checkup, the whole family. So while waiting, after submitting for ITA, you get a request to go do your biometrics. So you do the biometrics and submit, you upload it to your profile. In fact, it is automatically uploaded to your profile, and in my own case, the next day I got a response that the biometric has been uploaded to my express entry profile. So the wait continued. So at this point, after waiting, praying, fasting, sending prayer requests to your church, fasting and all that, you now get your PR, which is they tell you ready for visa email. I can never forget the day we received our own. It was in July 7th, around like 1 p.m. ish. The email just landed, boom, and I was just cold. I knew the minute that email entered, and I didn't even know how to behave again. I didn't even know how to react. This is something I'm always refreshing my email, because people who submitted applications together with in March, they got theirs. Because you definitely be in a group with people of like minds, people that submitted the same period with you. You be in a maybe a Telegram group, you are sending information. I received this email, oh, did you get this, did you get that? So we're always waiting. When I got the email, I didn't even know how to react. I'm like, God, this is the email, this is it. And I called my husband. I'm like, guess what? He said, yeah. He just started shouting. I'm like, this guy. He was like, we've gotten it. I said, yes. Ah, it was so exciting. So back to the story. So at this point, you receive your ready for visa mail, which is like, that is your PR. You've gotten your PR. So they're just trying to tell you, send your passport with your family's passport for stamping so that you can enter Canada. So in Nigeria, some people submit their passport request to, we don't have any Canadian immigration center in Nigeria. Funny enough, they don't stamp in Nigeria. So if you send your own passport, people in Nigeria send their own passport to Lagos, and Lagos package everything and sends to Accra, which is in Ghana. Or you could send your own to Kenya, or you could send to London or UK. Some people, there are different centers where you could send it for stamping, and based on that current moment, you research based on people's opinion at that moment, you get to know which one is fast, So we'll send our own to Accra because we're not really like in a hurry to leave. We already knew the month we were going to leave Nigeria, so we knew it wouldn't take more than a month before we get it back. So you send your documents, your children's international passports, your own. There's a specification of the passport photograph, how you snap it, the size, the measurements, and all that, the specs. You send everything together with your ready for visa email. You print it out, put everything in an envelope, send it for them to stamp. So we are at this point, after sending it by faith, went to book flights. We've not even received our passport back. At this point, you go book your flight, because you want to book your flight early to get cheap rates. You already know, okay. So we got our own July 07, and then we booked our flight for September 25th. So we knew that there's enough time. If I wanted it to even be earlier. My husband was like, okay, December will be a good time. Say, you and who December? Me. He said the medical is expiring in December. We have enough time. I said, no. We're leaving earlier, but I don't want to hear any story. Canadian government has closed their border. We are going early. So okay, September 25th, is it okay? I say it's okay, it's enough time for us to sell our properties, to say goodbyes, to finish up everything you have to do in Nigeria before leaving. So at this point, you submit your passport for stamping and you get it back. And that's that period of receiving your passport back. So we used DHL to send our documents, and we're tracking. When it was stamped, we got to know it was stamped. When they sent it back to us, we knew it was on the way coming. And I can remember the very day that my husband went to collect the passports. I didn't go to work that day. I was sick. He now called me that they called him to come collect his the stamped passport from DHL. that when he close from work, he's going to. I said, which close from work? You and who is closing from work? Go and collect it from DHL and bring it home. Then go back to office. I want to see the passport that is stamped. I don't want to hear anything. He had to leave work. He went to DHL, collected the document, and when he brought it, it was in a yellow envelope like this. I was like, then in our group we used to call it like yellow CC has landed, because the envelope is yellow. Most people use DHL, so when you are receiving your document, we're going to be in a yellow. This I'm going to put the picture somewhere for you to see. And I was even sick. You could even hear from my voice. I was dancing yellow CC, and I was sick. I was so excited to open it. Let me see, because again at this point, that you send your passport for stamping doesn't mean it's going to be stamped. Yeah, shocker. You have some people that the passport was sent back to them that it wasn't stamped because it did not follow specification, it did not, and by then we booked flights already. Luckily for us, our passports were stamped. Each one of us, boom, 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 we got stamps. And then at this point, we were already selling our properties. We're selling our stuff, dashing things out, putting up resignation at work, ready to leave. And then you finally, the last step is you travel. No, you're not traveling. It's a really, really interesting experience, you know, and it is very important for you to make your research. So please, I'm going to make more videos on this series because it's highly demanded from people. A lot of people are willing to relocate and they don't have enough information. So I'm going to be making more videos on this. I'm going to be talking about the CRS. I'm going to do a video on the CRS, how to input your information to be able to get your score on the express entry, step-by-step guide on how to do it. We're going to be talking of different pathways of how people relocate from their home country to Canada. There are different pathways, different ways, either through studies, either through work permits, either through all these Atlantic immigration pathways. Anyways, you know, I'm going to be discussing all that on this particular platform. So please do well to subscribe and like and comment on places where you have a comment, and please share to people that you know that on this journey, even though a lot of people are doing this journey codedly, when they're ready to go that you get to hear. But please share and also try to make more research. I keep emphasizing on this because at the point when we're doing our own, the kind of research I was making, I don't think I did it even when I did my MSc program when I was doing my master's. And I wonder how I excelled at my job, because I was really, really distracted. And funny enough, that was when I even met most of my target at work, because I was highly distracted, making a lot of research and all that. So thank you very much for watching up to this point, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye.